Hi everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great day. So this is a clip from a previously recorded video. This is a much shorter clip of it, but as always, not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research, and I'm invested in closing companies. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's get into the clip. Terawulf provided their operational update for September, and it's actually a pretty good update. Here's what we do have on them. So in September, they self-mined 329 Bitcoin in September with an average production rate of 11 Bitcoins per day, and generated approximately 6.5 million of free cash flow in Q3 of 2023, which will be used to repay debt, thereby reducing the company's future interest payments and total cost to mine Bitcoin. So that's good. They do have some debt. We'll take a look at it here when we look at my spreadsheet here. And the power cost averaged about 9.9 thousand per Bitcoin produced, which is really good, or approximately 3.5 cents per kilowatt hour in September, which is really good also. Okay, and then here's the data that you can see here. They're at 5 exahash right now. Let's take a look at the numbers that I do have for them. We'll get through all this as well. So the data that I do have on Terawulf is actually a day old. I haven't updated the stock prices yet. So that is going to get updated here before I update this for the Patreon members. But that's going to get updated. So price is off a little bit right now. I think it's probably down 10 cents or something like that from where it was. I think it was Terawulf was on around 10% or something like that. So that's what we're working with here. Shares outstanding right now is 221 million. Stock price around $1.19. I think it's less than that right now because of today. Market cap is going to be obviously lower a little bit, but not much. 263 million as it is. And then you can see their performance here over the last 12 weeks. They're down 64% from 12 weeks ago, 50% from 8 weeks ago, 30% from 4 weeks ago. And last week they were down 8.7%, right? So this kind of feeds into my thesis here that we're possibly going into the same cycle that we had the last halving cycle. Bitcoin production here. Current hash rate 5 exahash. They have miners purchased to get to a 7.9, roughly 8 exahash. Here currently, they do have options to buy more, I believe, but we'll see. They don't hodl anything right now. And the BTC production has been going up, but it has been coming down here a little bit here in the last 3 or 4 months. You can see that they peaked at June 347 Bitcoin, and since then, the network hash rate has continued to increase. However, their production or their increase in hash rate has not been able to sustain that. So July, they were at 330. August, they were at 330. And September, they were at 329. A little bit of a decrease, but not much. But we also have to take into account that September had one less day. So possibly they could have actually mined more here in September if we had that one extra day which I'm pretty sure they would have. Okay, so that's still pretty good there. And you can see the month-over-month difference here as far as what they were mining from month to month. The difference in that, BTC hodl, nothing there. BTC per exahash efficiency, 65.8 is pretty good here for the month. BTC sold, and they've been selling pretty much everything that they do mine. Hash rate, you can see the last couple months they were stuck at 4.9 exahash. That's why the decrease in the production, obviously, even though they were able to sustain pretty close to where they were. BTC mining revenue also peaked in July with 9.93 million in revenue. They're down here in September to 8.65 million. Obviously, Bitcoin price has been coming down as well, so that's contributing to it. And then you can see the month-over-month hash rate difference, how much they've been increasing each month over the prior month. And then BTC sold value, that's how much they sold, pretty much whatever they mined. It's just the inverse of that. Now, last 4 quarters revenue has been increasing nicely since last year. And it looks like this current quarter that we just finished ending in September is going to be an increase over the prior quarter. So that's good news there. It's nice to see that. Last 4 quarters operating costs, you can see that there. Cost to mine 1 Bitcoin was really low here at 9.21 thousand, which is really good. How many Bitcoins have been mining for a quarter? That's been increasing as well, which is good to see. Now this is where it gets a little more challenging here. Debt to equity, it's lower is better. We want that to be less than 0 here, but it's not. In the current ratio, we'd like to see that above 1. It's not. It's at 0.1758 for the ending Q2. And then here you can see the reasons why. The total current assets as of Q2, they had 14.36 million. So it's about 3 months old now. They have been paying down some of the debt here. They had a debt of 81 million here in Q2. So that's definitely a lot, right? That's one of the concerns that we have with Terawulf. Is just the debt that they have. And I'm trying to get out of that and pay it off. Okay. Now, as far as institutions and analyst ratings here, institutions did increase to 110. Shares also increased a little bit to 31.89 million from the 31.6 million that they had. Percentage increased to 14.42. And then we now have 1 strong buy rating for them, 3 buy ratings. So that's an increase there. 0 hold, 0 underperform, 0 sell. Price targets stayed pretty close to where they were. High is $4.25, $3.81 for the average, and $3 for the low. So those have decreased a little bit here over the last month on them. Looking at the miners that they did install this month, it looks like they installed possibly these 100 terahash miners, about 1,000 of those to increase by about 100 petahash to get into the 5 exahash that they are currently at. And we also had them mining here for the most part, based on just my calculations here, at 29.4 days out of the month. And then the ones that were added about 16.3 to get to the 8.65 million in revenue, which is based on the Bitcoin average price in September, which adds up here. If we multiply 329 times the average Bitcoin price, we get the revenue of 8.65 million, roughly, pretty close to that. Okay. And historically, I've been pretty close to what they actually report as being generated. I was only off by 0.44% here in the this was Q2. Q1, I was only off by 0.55, so we're pretty close to that typically here anyways. Okay, so that's kind of where we're looking at those data, and then based on all of that, my stock estimates for the price should be around, well, with the last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in, we're looking at a combined total of revenue of 72.2 million. If we take 50% net income from that, we're looking at 36 million, P of 20. And then now we're looking at $3.27 for the stock to $4.90. And they're currently at around $1 something, less than this right now. And then when we look at future possible revenue, we're looking at the September numbers for them as far as what they mined, multiplying it times the 6 months before the halving event at full 100%, and then 50% of that for the remaining 6 months after that, after the halving event. Okay, so with that, we're looking at $3.52 to $5.28, which is a little bit higher than what we had here because revenues did increase here, which is good to see. Well, it didn't really increase, but the revenue that they are generating here is more than they were the beginning of the year, right? If we look at the revenue, let's see, where is their revenue? There it is. So if we go back a full year, right? Last year, they were only at 2.3 million, 2.3, 3.18, and they started going back up here in the beginning of this year. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at. It's pretty close to what the analysts are looking at. $4.25. I got them at $4.90 here. Looking at previous data, future rate data, we got them a little bit higher here at $5.28 at the high point, $3.52 at the low point. Okay, so I still think they're definitely way undervalued here. But the concern with them is obviously the debt. So if they could somehow pay off the debt and start hodling a little bit more, I think this would definitely help the stock price go forward. Okay, so let me know what you guys think of Terawulf.